Sprint qualifying in Qatar produced a result that was at least partially expected. McLaren led the pack with a comfortable margin, while Ferrari lagged behind. However, there were surprises. With the cooler evening conditions, Mercedes, specifically George Russell's car, came alive, securing a front-row start alongside pole-sitter Lando Norris, with the British driver just 63 thousandths behind, whereas Max Verstappen's Red Bull showed strength only in ultra-high-speed corners. No surprise from Sergio Perez, who once again seems increasingly absent. This suggests an aerodynamic setup unable to handle variations in flow dynamics effectively. Let's delve deeper into some of the data. The first trend noticeable in the opening corners of the track mirrors what was observed in practice. McLaren is consistently faster through the first 4 corners, indicating tires that come to life immediately on the Woking team's car. The low top speed also suggests a highly aerodynamically loaded MCL-38, with consistent performance throughout the lap due to excellent tire temperature control and an optimal balance, even on Losail's varied corners. These corners feature different speeds but long arcs, challenging a car's aerodynamic balance as the center of aerodynamic pressure shifts. Such shifts can cause oversteer or understeer within a single lap. However, McLaren's impressive aerodynamic package, under Andrea Stella's leadership, appears immune to these issues, at least in terms of pure one-lap performance. The track evolution therefore stabilizes McLaren's oversteer-prone rear end, aided by setup adjustments. Once balanced, Lando Norris and Piastri exploit the MCL-38's strengths, high downforce and stability through long, sweeping corners, making Qatar a friendly circuit for the car. Conversely, the same challenge seems to hinder Max Verstappen's Red Bull, which excels as anticipated in the fastest corners, but struggles significantly in medium and low-speed turns, where the most time is often lost. This limitation could spell a challenging weekend for the newly crowned 4-time world champion, apart from tire management. Unlike Red Bull, Mercedes exhibited fluctuating performance but excelled particularly in braking and mid-corner phases, especially in corners 4 and 5, with minimal speed loss in flat-out sections at the 5.419-kilometer Lusail International Circuit. The traction and acceleration data also suggest a particularly high-strung Mercedes power unit, a claim supported by George Russell's comments about being at the limit in the fast third sector. Between corners 12 and 15, George Russell was the only driver to shift into 8th gear, demonstrating significant engine torque and rapid battery consumption. This forced him into recharge mode at turn 15, costing him valuable time and possibly the pole position. The changes to the track also suited Mercedes well, with lower curbs and good rubbering of the surface, thanks to the presence of F2 and F1 Academy, which were absent last year, creating conditions that greatly benefited Russell. George also did his part, delivering a front-row start for the team that far exceeded even their own expectations. While track evolution benefits McLaren, it complicates Ferrari's plans. The Scuderia, already enjoying a planted rear end during practice, finds itself with overly rear-biased balance in qualifying, a problem that becomes evident in Q3 with the soft tires. Both Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz struggle with understeer on entry and mid-corner as the front end slides outward. This dynamic bodes poorly for tire management in the sprint, as the front tires are the critical factor. However, using harder compounds might mitigate the issue. The reasons behind the SF-24's drop in performance compared to the strong practice session are relatively straightforward. A roughly 5-degree temperature drop since late afternoon altered the car's aerodynamic balance. While the rear end and diffuser became more effective, the front end progressively lost grip, triggering understeer that the drivers could not overcome. On a circuit with such corner types, this understeer severely compromised the car's performance. It's also likely that this effect compounded over the session, with the front sliding leading to temperature mismanagement of the front tires. The disappointment on the faces of Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and team principal Frédéric Vasseur was understandable, as the SF-24 single-seater had exceeded expectations earlier in the day. Encountering such a persistent issue during qualifying was a bitter pill for Ferrari's camp. Nevertheless, the SF-24 still showed promise, particularly on medium and hard compounds, leaving room for optimism in the sprint and main race. Moreover, from a 2025 development perspective, having a solid baseline remains an excellent starting point. Losail serves as a natural wind tunnel, testing cars under varying yaw angles. The sprint will be particularly revealing regarding tire management and how setups evolve for the main qualifying and race. Ultimately, this track highlights the incredible grip levels and cornering speeds achieved by current Formula One cars better than most other circuits. Ferrari still plays its cards, starting with the gamble of diverging tire allocations for the Qatar weekend as compared to its rivals. Alongside Williams, Ferrari is the only team to run practice on hard tires instead of mediums, foregoing the option of a two-stop strategy with double stints on hards for Sunday. In return, the Maranello team secures an extra set of fresh medium tires scrubbed in practice to use in the sprint or a second stint on Sunday, possibly aiming for a single pit stop, made viable by cooler track temperatures, which are 15 degrees Celsius lower than in 2023, and increased grip. Ferrari's second gamble involves using the new floor on Charles Leclerc's car for both the qualifying session and the race. Initially, the updates were intended as a test for 2025 correlation. However, positive feedback on driver confidence and drivability pushes the Maranello team to deploy the upgrade early. To counter McLaren, however, the Italian side must address the balance issue after the Qatar sprint race. The competitive order could still be evolving. The sprint race will provide an initial indication of tire management over the 19 scheduled laps, held at 5 p.m. when track temperatures are expected to be higher. Regarding Ferrari, there is greater optimism regarding race pace compared to single-lap performance, while McLaren and Mercedes harbor some concerns about graining. Weather forecasts suggest stable conditions, with air and track temperatures for tomorrow's qualifying expected to match those observed today.